it's Tokes here from Watered Seed. Welcome to Watered Seed Talks. Now in this video, I wanted us to discuss why young girls struggle to fit in. In fact, why most people or some people struggle to fit in at some point in their life. Join us in the conversation. Let's dive in. Okay guys, so when I was thinking about this topic and I was thinking about the 4 points that I was going to discuss, I thought it was useful to use examples and use some of my life experiences when it comes to why we struggle to fit in. Because I believe that at some point in time, some of us really did struggle to fit in. And it's not always because we don't have enough friends or we don't have people around us, but it means that we're in our own bubble, or if it's the fact that the people around us can't even tell that we're upset. And I was wondering to myself, why is it these people that I call my friends or even sometimes family can't tell that there's something wrong with me? And so I'm going to share these 4 steps with you. And although when I was going through it, I didn't know these 4 steps, but over the years, again, this is something that I've learned, I understand, and every time I am acting out or not sync, I have to go back to it to help me. So I really hope this helps you as well. So the first thing which I started to look at, which is just in society as a whole, as to why we all struggle to fit in. Number 1 for me was conformity. Now this is something that I have discussed over and over again with the girls at the seminar. And so what do I mean by conformity? Now let's think about this. In the society, in the environment that we live in, we've been told so many times that for us to fit into society, we need to be like other people. We need to be similar like with other people. And that's okay. But I think sometimes we read this the wrong way. When someone says we need to be similar, we almost feel like we need to be the same with those people. And so we feel like we need to conform. This is how we make friends. This is how we feel like we belong. We need to act the same way. And that is the number 1 killer to struggling to fit in. Because imagine if every person that you met acted exactly the same way. Would you not just get tired? Would you not just think that we live in a world filled with robots? So the more we try to conform to societal norms, the more we try to conform to be like other people, the more we will struggle to fit in, because we're not the same. We're not created the same. And this is the same conversation we tell the girls, to say, uniqueness is gold. It's okay for us to be all unique, but we can still be friends. We can still get along. And so the more we try to be like other people, the more almost people can see through us to say that, well, you're not authentic, you're not real, you're not true. And so because we're not that, we fall short. We fall short to people really seeing the true us, because even when something's wrong with us, they can't tell because we're full of all of that pretense in regards to conforming so much. And again, sometimes it's not our fault. It's based on our society and just how we've been brought up and the things that we've been made to believe. And I've been through this, and I'm sure that, you know, people out there have been through this. But the idea to solving this struggle to fit in starts from non-conforming. We need to stop conforming. We need to stop conforming to be like other people. We need to stop conforming to emulate the things that we see, because, you know, that's status quo. That's how we should look. The more we become more true to ourselves, the more things become clearer to us. The more people can actually see that, actually, Tokes is a really, you know, lively person. And so when I'm quiet, someone can say to me, oh, what's the matter, Tokes? There's something wrong with you. And those are the things that helps other people to pick and ask us if we're okay or if we're not. Now, the second thing that I wanted to talk about was when I came across this, I was thinking, really? But then I started to think about it and realized that actually this is so true. And this is superficiality. What do I mean by being superficial? Now, I don't mean superficial on the outside in regards to the way that we look. I mean superficial actually in regards to our thoughts and our decisions. So let me give you an example. You're in a gathering. Someone says something to you and says, "Oh, Tokes, come over here, do you know about this?" And then ask me a question which I have no clue about. And then I go, "Yes, absolutely, I get what you mean, I understand what you mean." But really, I don't know what they're talking about. But because I'm so scared to say, or maybe afraid to say, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about," I pretend. I pretend like I belong. I pretend like I understand what's been said. And that is what superiority means. Sorry, that is what superficiality means. It means that we pretend that we're what we're not really. So if someone came to you and told you something, do we take time out to ask ourselves, do I know about that thing? And if I don't know about it, am I confident enough to say to those people, to say, "I don't know anything about it"? Now, as a society, until we stop being superficial, until we stop pretending like we know these things, again, we're in the same bubble. We're doing it as adults. We're doing it and showing it to our children that that's the right way. We pretend that that's okay. As long as people accept us, then that's okay. So the world keeps revolving around the same mistake, the same things, and we need to stop this. So I believe that, again, to combat this, we need to be able to speak up confidently to say, "I don't know what you're talking about." And therefore either do some research or just be happy to say, "Well, why don't you tell me what you're talking about?" And this does not just relate to conversations. This relates to everything, every part of our life, every aspect of our life, in regards to being superficial in how we make our decisions, which means we're not thinking about things thoroughly enough to make decisions. We're letting other people imprint their own decision making on us, and therefore we just accept it. So it impacts us. And so we feel that we don't belong to that sect because really we don't know what they're talking about. Now, the third thing I wanted to discuss was the name is quite long in its understanding, but it's necessity not to offend. And what this means is that we're worried about offending people. So we'd rather not offend people and lie to ourselves than being truthful. I'm not sure if you understand what I mean. So let me use an example of a girl who's playing in the playground who doesn't want to play a certain game that a friend has chosen. But she feels that if she tells her friend that she doesn't want to play that game, her friend's going to be upset with her. But she really doesn't want to play the game. So guess what? She succumbs. Her friends ask her, "Would you like to play this game?" And she's like, "Absolutely, yes, I'd like to play your game." But really within, she doesn't want to play the game. So because she doesn't want to offend her friend, she decides to participate in the game. But really, it's not what she wants to do. So again, she would feel like she doesn't fit in with this friend because she's struggling to speak out, to tell her friend that this is not the game she would like to play. And we all do this as we grow along. We do this in the workplace. In fact, some of us do it in our marriages, where your partner is asking you to do something, and because you don't want to offend them, rather than speaking clearly with kindness, with empathy, and telling them really how we feel about things, we don't. We pretend that it's okay. And then initially, it's fine, but over time, it becomes a big problem. And this is the same thing for our girls. This is the same thing for young adults. This is the same problem that everybody has. And therefore, again, we have to find a better way of being able to speak up and speak to our peers and speak to our family, our partners, in regards to the things that really offend us. Because this is another cycle that helps us or tells us that we don't fit into a circle. Now, the fourth one, which is the last one, is peer pressure. Now, when we talk about peer pressure, sometimes we're not talking about, influence of someone speaking at you and forcing you to do something. Sometimes influence can be quite subtle, quiet. No one's telling you to do anything, but you're watching and you're seeing how people do things and you want to be like them, you emulate them. But remember, by emulating them, it's like you're wearing an oversized dress, which is in your size. So you're dragging all over the place. It feels so heavy. You can't wear it for a very long time. But guess what? You pretend that it fits nicely. Now, the thing about that also is that the people around us can always see that that dress is oversized, it's big, it doesn't fit us. But somehow we can't see that. We pretend like it fits nicely. And so again, we struggle to fit in. The people that we are trying to fit in with know that we are struggling, know that we're not their type, but yet they pretend like we're their type. Only us, we're only the novice in these situations. And sometimes as well, I feel like we choose different types of friends. We choose the friends that we want to please, and we choose the friends that we have mutual respect for. And mostly throughout my life, what I've realized is that the friends that I have mutual respect for, we tend to have that friendship for a longer period of time. But the ones who, because of one desire or the other, either ours or theirs in that friendship, doesn't last very long. Because at the end of the day, we're acting like someone that we're not. We're pretending. And that is fallible. So the aim of this conversation, again, like I always say for every post, is that we need to stop, think, and reflect. Where do we struggle the most? Where do we struggle to fit in? Is it mostly because we don't want to offend people? And that's great. Or is it mostly because of our peers? Again, we need to ask ourselves this question. And that is why we have this conversation. For us to be able to think about what we can do to be our authentic self. Because being that authentic self is what makes the journey easy. It's what makes us not struggle, but just fit into the right people. And this is something I always say to my daughter. I always say, there's no point being with the cool friends or be with the cool people. We need to be with the right people, the people who make us feel better about ourselves, or maybe not even better about ourselves, but it's vice versa, it's reciprocal. They feel better when we're there. We feel better when they're with us, because we mutually respect each other. And so it's not really about the cool people. It's about the right people. It's living the rest of our life surrounded by people who are kind, caring, who understand our interests, and those interests are not based on, fallible things. They're not based on things that like clothes or what we wear and those kind of things. We've now come to the end of our conversation on struggling to fit in. If you have any questions, feel free to put them below, comment below, like us, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.